Okay, all. So we are going to start talking about just kind of different ways to adapt a print. We're not necessarily in original print design right now, but this is still kind of using elements of an existing print and maybe being able to adapt it a little bit more. So I would still put this in the adapt world. So I had found this watercolor right here. So this is the original. And again, we can look down here and we see these like bars all the way across. So it is not indexed. That's actually the original print that I inserted in here. This, now it's in like a tile. So, and we know we have now some colors over here in the palette viewer. So this is now indexed. I also went through and cleaned this guy up. That's how kind of these words got out. I will say in general with this watercolor one, again, I really only used white when I did the, just to kind of show you how I did this. I just used the eyedropper to get the white, and then I used the gradient to get the pink, the green, and that yellow. But the yellow became a little strong. So I indexed this. Then I went through, I will say I used the reduce noise and clean noise to kind of clean the sucker up. So that's kind of the process I used to this point. Again, previous videos, but every image you'll kind of use different ways of indexing the colors. You'll use kind of different ways to clean the image. So I did kind of just want to talk to you how this one was a little different, because in the previous ones I was doing the bird one, and I'm totally blanking on the other one. The clean noise and reduce noise didn't work so great. So you really do have to play with this. You have to do it a few different times and a few different iterations. So now with this one, like with the birds on the wire, I kind of was totally just ripping that off. That was not even just adapted. That was totally copying it. I might have ended up changing the colors, and I may do that in subsequent tutorials. But with this one, I want to put a little bit more of my own spin on it. I'll show you how that kind of works and some kind of new tools you can use. So again, I make a copy. I always like to see the true color. So especially when I'm cleaning or maybe I'm redrawing something, I like to see the original and how it works. I will be very honest with you. I spent a max of 10 minutes in cleaning this. You should be taking a lot longer. You should be doing a better job with it than I'm doing. But just so you know, I really liked this element here. I really liked this element here, this little flower, and I liked this little flower. And I was going to kind of adapt these florals into my own kind of design. Kind of same concept. So just so you know how I kind of clean this up, because this is like the original, and it's really hard. You really have to go in and kind of almost redraw that like bleed that happens with watercolors. But just so you know how I cleaned this image, and this image, is I went into my effects brush. I did a lot of blurring. And then I would go in and paint, and I, you can just select any of these gradient colors. I would kind of paint, and then I blurred again and paint and blurred again. So it kind of got that effect of watercolor layering. I think if I kept on doing it, I could get closer to the original, but making these tutorials are more important. So anyway, so I kind of, so I really like this element. I want to use this element and this element to create or adapt really into a new print. So let me show you how you would do that. So I'm going to show you how you can pull these images out first. I think that would make things a little easier. So this is where you can go into your different masks. And since I want to kind of cut these images out, I'm really going to use the lasso, because you really can just draw around it. You can also make a square, or rectangle square. You can do an oval. You know, this edge finder is kind of fun when it comes to recoloring, which I'll show you in some other tutorials. So let's first kind of pull out some of these elements. So first I'm going to cut this flower out, and I'm doing this super fast so I can keep these tutorials kind of short. So I created that, and this is where I can do Control C, and I want to put this up here, Control V. Okay, so I'm kind of taking these elements out, right? And then I'm going to do it again with this little guy. And like, let's say you made a mistake and you want to like deselect it. You can always just go to Control D and it lets it go. Okay, so now I have to redo my last. So let's say you like cut into this, all of a sudden you're like, oh man, you can just do Control D. So I'm cutting this out. And again, I just played with a lot of like blurring, and you know, you can always, so Control C, I'm going to bring up this element up here, Control V. So now I'm going to show you how you can start kind of designing a repeated one. And especially I'm doing really a tossed print, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do this kind of tossed print. So let me kind of scale out so I can kind of do this. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a square. So, you know, I'm going to go into my drawing tools. I don't want any outline. I just want the fill to be white because that's basically what this is. You could make this be any of your colors if it isn't white. And I'm going to draw a square roughly about, I mean, you'll want to make it an even square, so you can use your rulers with that, but I'm just rolling like this. Now, to help me in my tossed, because if I'm just focusing on the single repeat, you know, it makes things a little bit more complicated. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in a repeat. So I go into my Design Repeat Studio, and I can just make it a simple repeat. I will show you different repeats that you can do, but here's just the simple one. So now I'm all in my repeat, okay? And I know I allow my screen to get quite messy. So I apologize if that kind of drives you bazonkers, and you can really get out of it, okay? So I can kind of move this so it doesn't make people absolutely insane. And I'm just going to bring my elements right into this, okay? Now, these images are still indexed, as you see. I still have the color palette, but as soon as I bring it into a new, you know, it puts it back into true color. Okay, but this is what's kind of cool about when you already put it in a repeat, it shows you how it's going to lay out, and you can already start seeing the tossed print. But I want to bring in, I don't want to like re-index this all over again, especially if this was like a complicated one. It had 3 gradient colors. It was kind of hard. And so anyway, you know, we still have this selected. Come into this drop box. Ooh, I think it's indexed 52. Yes, okay, so index 52. I bring that in. Now I go into this little green arrow that says Options, and I go Apply this palette. Now this new repeat that I've made, this new little block, this new image, now has, it's indexed. I don't have to go through and eyedropper it and clean it up. This is applied to this, okay? And so this is really fun. You can, now you have this image. You can, scale it. You can start to create your own thing. This is another fun thing to do. So let's say I'm going to bring this in as well. Again, now this is associated with this palette. Let me show you a really fun, I love this stamping tool. So it's called Multiple Copy. And watch it, you can stamp it. See how it stamps and just puts it in, where you want it to be. The other great thing is I want you guys to identify your Q, W, A, and S. We used that in style, remember, to make the curves when you're drawing your lines. Well, in print here, it has another great feature. So I'm now pushing, you know, my Q and S are, or sorry, Q and W are like my opposites. So Q and W, Q makes it the image bigger, W makes it smaller. Now I'm going down to my A and S. So A is, you know, rotating it clockwise, and S is counterclockwise. And so now I can start doing my little tossed print. Isn't it adorbs? And you can even like, so this is what's kind of cool, and this kind of helps with making your tossed print look tossed, is when you kind of go slightly off, you know? And then when you're done with this guy, you just right click. So now I'm going to go back to this, you know, this guy and do some multiple copies of him. And I am going to, you know, toss him a bit. I'm going to put him actually in this like corner. And let's say I'm going to shrink him, or yeah, I'm going to shrink him up and rotate him. But you get the idea. See how it starts becoming like really fun? Okay, so anyway, so there's where you can start kind of tossing and creating it now into repeat. So I'm going to kind of end this here, and I'll come back and kind of show you how you can even manipulate and add some new details in some other videos. All right, bye.